The Durian Heat, bringing big ideas and critical opinions in Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Durian ASEAN. You're at the Durian Heat with Grace.
And this is Arlene.
And of course, we have been speaking with the two awesome people from Nation Building School.
Our two principals,
awesome.
Yes, they are
awesome.
Marques and Zaim. So let's continue our conversations here. You guys did talk about your own organization there.
Yep.
But coming to this segment, we always deal with issues here. So talking about youth in Malaysia, I'm sure you guys have lots of things to say when it comes to youth.
Yep.
So let's focus on first one, which is leadership
Yep.
in youth. So what are the problems that the youth, especially Gen Y, has been having so far? You want to start, Marques?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main issue with the Gen Y when it comes to leadership is they often become more of becoming a follower rather than a leader themselves. You
Follower.
Education system?
Yeah, because you see, when you become a leader, people look up to you. But the problem is this: they look at their predecessors and they want to follow whatever they have done. So
Right.
the standards are set according to whatever the person before them has achieved. And they struggle in actually trying to compete with that. But what they don't understand is becoming a leader is about setting your own example and setting your own standards. Being able to lead in your own way. And that is something that Gen Y has so often struggled with. We compete with people before our generation. And another thing is, I feel, innovation, the lack of creativity in leadership style. As in, when you lead, there is something people want to look up to you.
For sure, yeah.
People often look at you for a certain trait.
It's true.
And there are very few people in Malaysia, especially in the youth scene, that are capable enough to lead. I mean, leaving out Kari Jamaluddin, YB Kari Jamaluddin, of course he is fantastic on his own. But besides him, there are a handful of them which probably I can't even think of names right now.
We have Zaim and Marques here.
Oh no, we're fine. No, I think also, right, the question I like to ask is like, after you graduate from high school, maybe you don't go to college, you go to uni. Where do you go if you want to pick up or harness your leadership skills? Where do you go? Are there any institutions? Are there any centers in the country that provide this type of services? Do they teach you? Are there any modules? Are there any aspects that we can learn about leadership in the country? I struggle to answer that question. I don't know where can I go, right?
So you're talking about the soft skills, like communication.
I'm talking about everything.
Skills.
Yeah.
Management, also hard skills, right? Management and also soft skills.
Right.
I don't know where. And probably even if the government do provide this leadership modules or programs, right? I guess. Well, the result is what we see now, like what Marques was saying, that we don't know one. You can't pinpoint to one single thing out there that young people feel that great, that's accessible, that's affordable. I can go there. I can be a leader. I can pick up skills. I don't know where. I know, unlike our friends in Singapore, they have many institutions like NAKLI to be a community leader.
Right.
Even in the
It's true.
States, they have so many. I mean, and there's so many options to choose from. But in this
Exactly.
country, I don't want to say that the Ministry of Youth and Sports not doing anything. They are doing something, but I guess resources are not. It's very limited, and I think people like us, we don't know where do we go when it comes
But
to
are
leadership
there
development.
also quite many NGOs out there which focus on youth development? I mean,
Well.
the skills
Such as-
Here is
communications.
quite vague, when you talk about youth development, when
Yeah.
you talk about leadership,
Yep.
what exactly you're talking about, because different people might see it
Differently.
differently.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think this is the problem we face, right? You see, whenever we talk about leadership, everyone says, "Oh, okay, whenever I start a new organization, I'm a leader, or whenever I'm leading a certain project, I'm a leader." But
Whenever you have the
But how
word
do you
Yeah.
define
director or executive head
yeah,
or
exactly.
something.
Yeah.
But leadership is such a broad context. The idealism of becoming a leader, or the leadership context itself is so huge
Yeah.
that we in Malaysia, we are so streamlined. We don't see the bigger picture. Do we have someone who is capable enough to be the next Barack Obama, who's coming from Malaysia? Example,
Right.
You see, you have people like that overseas. You have you have people to look up to overseas. You know, I'm quite sure if you ask many Malaysians who are following the global issues and whatever is happening internationally, they would say that, oh, okay, my idol is probably Barack Obama or someone who's outside Malaysia. You know, in Malaysia, like I said, I think besides YBKJ, you know, if you look at his style of leadership, he's very holistic. You know, he's very people centric. At the same time, he does a lot of work in terms of youth development, sports development. He's very outgoing. So he hits all the right notes. But how many of us here in Malaysia are capable enough to do that?
Right.
And I think, just to answer Arlene's question, right, there are leadership programs. Like when I say leadership programs, very general, right? How to be a leader. There are leadership programs in the country. Like for example, I was a Perdana Fellow. I was part of this program. It's dubbed to be the most prestigious leadership program in the country, but it's only given to 85 young people in the country, right? 85 people out of 8 million young people.
Yeah.
So there is no, and I think this is the point of the Nation Building School, right? To democratize access to opportunities, because I think the opportunity can change person's lives. When you go to an event or you go to workshop, it can change the way you look at things. So I think for us, we don't genuinely think that we are the most awesomest guy that can change the country.
Yeah,
we don't.
definitely.
But we are pragmatic enough to think that if we open up the floodgates of opportunities to young people, we can probably expose them more young people to leadership, to leaders, and at the same time inspire them to become greater, right?
Yeah.
To realize that they can reach their full potential.
It's a diamond in the rough, like, you know. If you don't dig, you won't find it.
Right.
So
yeah, which is a problem. Which is
yeah.
in areas, right? So I guess one of the things that we always ask is, I've always wondered how come there's no like full list of the of NGOs in the country or youth
Yeah.
NGOs. There's no full list of events, or to be specific, but events that I like to go to. Networking events, leadership events, whatever events, right? There's no full list. You can't find any website, any source out there. And I think we've been trying to map this. We've been trying to map opportunities
We're
out
doing
there.
our homework as
Yeah.
well. Like, we are researching online. At the same time, we are also trying to reach out and see, okay, how many of you are still active, or how many of you are existent? Some of you are registered, but
They're
to
not
date you are
active.
no longer in existent.
Right.
Yeah.
But what is
Existence.
the current leadership crisis that we have right now? That young people are actually suffering because of that.
A lot, I
Oh,
guess.
wow, that's a loaded question. Yeah.
Because
Let's
I
go
mean,
one by
I mean,
one.
you guys are suggesting, the importance of having a lot of this youth development and leadership
Opportunities.
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
But what actually are we addressing right now?
I think one of the
What is
biggest
the problem?
problem is that we feel entitled. Like the youths,
syndrome of
the youths in
being
Malaysia.
privileged.
The youths in Malaysia, they feel that, oh, okay, we are online. We can say whatever we want because we are entitled to do so. But again, when you pick out a problem, when you point out a certain crisis, what are you doing about it as a young person? Are you a go-getter? Are you willing to go and solve the problem yourself with probably by leading a group of people? So I think the biggest problem is we feel entitled. And
Why we feel
And
that?
that also comes with the mentality of especially younger generation, because after they graduate university,
Yeah.
they've got degree, so they think they deserve to
Exactly.
be treated in a certain way
Yeah.
in the workplace or even community. So maybe that's why in forming the leaders here, it's a bit problematic because of perhaps they may be good at academic skills.
Exactly.
But then when it comes to teamwork, they may not,
They lack
have
the
the
skills.
skills to socialize with
Correct.
them
Yeah.
and to become a
But
proper.
I want to go the question a bit further because, this is not the first generation of Malaysians who receive diplomas or degrees.
Yeah, for
Correct,
sure.
correct.
Our
Yeah.
forefathers, they have accomplished well themselves too. But what makes us worse, or maybe not worse, but I guess feel more entitled than the previous generation?
Yeah. Can I just take the point back, right?
Sure.
The Asian Foundation did a survey in 2012, and they found that surprisingly, urban youth, more than half feel disempowered. That they feel that they can't do anything to make a difference in the country. And when I say surprising, it's because
There
the
could
rural,
be a lot of reasons.
the rural youth are more empowered to make
Which
a
is
difference.
kind of odd,
which
right?
is kind of odd,
They
yeah.
have
Yeah.
lesser access.
Yeah, probably, right? Probably the urban people have more exposure to the problems in the country. But I guess, so that is a survey. And I think the how do we address this are many ways, right? And I'm not suggesting that what we're doing is the only way to do it.
Right.
There are many ways to stem the leadership deficit amongst youth in the country.
Is that the reason also a lot of brain drain is happening in this country? Because they feel
Wow,
disempowered,
okay.
they feel like
I
there's a
hear
lack
the
of
sighs.
leadership.
I love the question, by the way.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at brain drain, right, we can't look at it from just a youth perspective. There are many
Yeah.
reasons. The World Bank 2011 report, like I mentioned to you, Arlene, last time we had an interview, was one of the few reasons was because better career prospects,
Yeah.
better salary slash wages, and also, the sense of perceived sense of injustice in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are many reasons behind this, right? But I think if you really want to go to the root cause of that, maybe it's a lot to do with education as well, right? Quality of education. People feel that, that we're not churning out, citizens of the world, not churning out, leaders. We're churning out workers, employees, who have employee mindsets. And when we meet people like this, fresh grads or uni students, like Marques was saying, is that they don't feel that. Again, they don't feel like they can make a difference, and they feel that. They feel disenchanted and disempowered in the country. They think that the only way to make a difference in the country is to politics, which we strongly disagree.
Yeah.
We strongly disagree that if you want to make a difference in the country, it's not just through politics, right? There are different ways to do it. We do it through NGOs, right, or what people will call the third sector. The private sector, public sector, and then we have the civil society, the third sector, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm going to tell people is that, look, there are more ways to make a difference in the country. Don't have to do it at politics. And don't just be idolized by just politicians out there, right? There are many awesome community leaders that we look up to in the country.
Yeah.
And they are just awesome. Yeah.
So you talked about shortly about the nation building schools, the program, how we can enroll and participate a few activities there. But could you elaborate even more on the programs and training session that you really focus on the youth issues and also going for the youth development further?
I think I'll pick up the assembly part, which Zaim was talking about earlier.
Sure.
So in our assemblies, you see, what we do is this: we don't pick out topics which are mundane. You see, a lot of people have forums out there which you see on a day-to-day basis. It's a form of repetition. You know,
yeah.
they always bring out the same things to probably create the same form of scandals and stuff
But
like
to be
that.
honest, right, all those firms conferences, they're really good. You attend that, you hear the the people that are participating, who are involved. But then the question is, here is the execution part. After that,
what happens?
how do you carry on the vibe
Exactly.
that you learn from?
So just to complete where I started earlier on
Sure.
the assembly. So what we do is this, right? We have this thing called the brain itch. So we throw it in. We try to spark a little bit of spiciness in the topics
Right.
we choose. So what happens is this, right? We get appropriate young leaders to come in and talk about these topics which we have chosen, or the themes which we have set, and we do not choose the conventional way where we just discuss the problem.
Yeah, we don't play safe.
You know, we don't like discussing the problem. We like discussing the solutions. You know, so upon discussion of the solutions, you will find that there are a whole load of opportunities that are being listed. And what we do is we say, okay, now these are the opportunities that are there. Are you interested in following up with the opportunities? And I think.
And how are the feedback so far? Do they really participate and give their inputs spontaneously?
Let me give an example, right? The topic for the next assembly, it's our Malaysian youth need to, right? Right. No action, talk only, right? And we provoke them because we feel that enough with the
It makes us think.
the previous ones were Malaysia boleh ke? And the other one was, what's going on lah, Malaysia?
But that's the
Right.
sentiment. It's always very problem oriented.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we talk about issues.
We propose a
Exactly.
problem, but when the speakers speak, they come out with solutions. So we had one speaker that had a PowerPoint on Malaysia boleh ke, and he proposed like 3 or 4 solutions on
Exactly.
what we can do as
Right.
young people, to address this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then moving on from the assembly, right? Like what you were saying, what's next? We answer what's next with the homework.
The homework,
Yeah,
the next
do-
step.
the next step is
do
the
more.
homework.
Do homework, right? And I think through the exam, which is the second last step, the exam is when we challenge them. We challenge them to become better leaders through different ways, right? Hard skills and also soft skills, right? Hard skill will mean, how do you manage an NGO? How do you manage a team? how do you manage this? How do you look at members and how do you track the progress through a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
That's true.
Right, that's not easy, right? How do you even come up with a system in the first place? And then the soft skills is encouraging them to speak to the members, to the audience, giving them opportunities. And let me be fair, right? The two of us, Marques and I, are very loud people in the team. The other two co-founders, David and Noreen, are sort of quiet people. But I guess that's the beauty of it all, right? Is that you don't have to be loud to be a leader.
Yeah.
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
Correct.
You have to be loud, and I think we show that there's a balance in the team.
Yeah,
That
there's a diversity.
there's diversity. That even though you're an introvert guy, you can still be a leader.
Exactly.
Right? You have a role in this world. Yeah, but the exam is probably how we test them. Like
Yeah.
you really want to be someone out there. You want to make a difference. You want to make a difference in your field of interest. Great. Now let us test you. Let's not just do NATO, right? Let's not just talk. Let's just get to action now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I have a question here while listening to you guys' conversation. Is it really necessary to have just one leader in a team, or is it possible to have
No.
more than one leader in the community?
Well, I believe in this, right?
Yeah.
It's not about being a leader not just having one leader in a group.
Okay.
You can have an organization with probably many leaders, but it's about what kind of leadership skills do they have.
Right.
So you see, when you have an organization, there are several projects which run,
True.
and through all these projects you will notice that one person stands out in each of these projects.
Yeah.
So it is important to have that form of diversity in terms of leadership, because if one person takes charge of everything, he or she may not be able to conduct everything right. So it's important to have various forms of leadership traits, and at the same time having these leaders in your group take charge of one thing at a time.
That's true.
You cannot be bureaucratic and say that, oh, I want to be in charge of everything, because if you do that, it's recipe for disaster.
But
Recipe
how
for
do
disaster.
you, get introverts out of their cocoon?
Right.
It's not easy.
Can I take this right? So I'm going to give two references, but
Sure.
before I give the two references, the first thing I want to say is, if you look at our designation in the school, right, there is no president, there is no CEO.
Yeah.
Everyone here is the school principal. Four of us are school principals.
Yeah,
exactly.
for
And the two
Cane.
references, here are the two references. The first reference is the King Arthur, right? King Arthur had a round table
Knights
of
of the Round Table,
Knights of the
yeah.
Round Table, exactly. And they're all equals, by the way. King Arthur was the first among equals. He was not higher than them. He was with them, right? And I think that's how we operate in the school. Is that we don't believe that one guy should be above the rest.
Yeah.
But we believe that all four have the same equal decision-making power. And the second reference is the Canadian geese. What Marques is saying, right? Canadian geese. If I'm not mistaken, right? When these are birds that fly in the sky to
But they always
overconfidence.
go together.
They always go together in the
Yeah.
shape of V, right?
Yeah,
like
they
an
do.
inverted V. So the guy at the front, he will bear the brunt of the force of flying, right? It's not
Yeah.
easy to fly. It is tiring.
Yeah.
I read about it. It's tiring, right? So what they do is they will take turns.
Yeah, they alternate.
They alternate.
right.
Yeah. So I think that's the point of leadership as well. It's that you don't have to be the only one at the front doing everything and
Yeah.
doing everything, right? Bearing the problems for the world, but. That's leadership. The hidden tree is the gotong royong, right? This is the value of the nation building school in a blueprint is only one, which is gotong royong, and gotong royong means the bearing of the world's burden by trusted friends.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, and that's what we all do, right? We believe that this is a responsibility, but
That's
also
true.
we do it with
And the
trusted friends.
interesting context of Gotong Royong, you see that we often say that Gotong Royong is all about everyone come together, clean an area,
is it?
but if you really look in depth of in terms of its context or in terms of its definition, Gotong Royong applies to leadership itself.
Yeah.
Like what Zaim just mentioned. Gotong Royong has such a profound meaning. It's just that how we adapt it to the current time.
Exactly, yeah.
So-
Even Indonesia president, Megawati had cabinet gotong royong, right?
Yeah.
which is great, right? This is the idea of being together, right? We have to do things together. It's not about one man. We combine Western and Eastern concepts together, right? Yes, one man can make a difference, but a drop in the ocean makes a drop of water in the ocean makes a mighty wave, right? So I
Yeah.
think that's the idea, that we have to do it collectively.
How do you get people on par with the same kind of mindset?
It's not that difficult. I think you want to make a difference, you make a difference.
Yeah, you
And you can weave out the so in Malaysia, right? Unfortunately, youth leaders, many of them tend to be political.
Yeah.
They tend to pretend to be non-partisan, but carry
Their
political
own-
definition,
Yeah.
agenda. And I think you can tell them very quickly. You can tell them when it comes to action. Do they do the work or do they just like to talk?
Right.
The people like to
in
talk.
Malay word they call it curi tulang.
Yeah.
They tend to pretend to
Correct,
be
correct.
like the leader or
Yeah.
someone that is respectable, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, they are the one who actually do not contribute much.
They do the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
They die off quickly. So we know this, right? Even when the people go through, right, some of these people, they are interested in the school. They want to go through the 6 steps. They don't do the homework because
Correct.
and we can weed them out quickly. It's very easy. Like-minded people, not many, very few, but that's all you need.
And real good leaders will know your stuff very well. As in, you know what's happening on the ground. You know what's happening at each strata, level of the strata in your management team, for example. And you have actually done all that before.
Yeah.
So the more you do, the more you experience, the better of a leader you become. And you relate very much better to the people who are to the members you are leading.
So
I
you
think-
believe strongly in starting from the ground.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah, and
You have to
wanna
pay your
say,
dues.
Yeah, I mean we're not experts in all this. I think we're still learning. We're only about 6 months old, and we're learning. And what not everything we say today is true, but I guess it's from our own experience, and we're learning. And I think the fact is we're 6 months old. We're very new, but we want to tell people outside that hey, you can do it too. If we're doing it, you can do it too. And we encourage. We need more leaders in the country, more aspiring leaders to come up and join us in this in this journey, because the country cannot build by itself. We need people to join us.
That's very true. This is one of the questions that I always ask. It's a very common question, but it's very necessary because personally, I really want our listeners to hear what you guys need to say. You guys, the team has 4 members, co-founders, and I'm sure along the way, you guys had a lot of clashes when it comes to ideas and a lot of arguments. So how did you deal with it? How did you face all this?
We set up a wrestling ring.
and then box each other.
We gave everyone boxing
I was going to say we
gloves.
don't.
In order to form this organization, Nation Building School,
Yeah.
you guys had a lot of hurdles along
Oh
the
yes,
way.
yes.
Definitely.
Diversity is the key. I mean, diversity is what defines the Nation Building School. This is not by design; it's by default. The 4 of us, we come from different religions, different backgrounds, different races, different everything.
Yeah.
And when we have meetings, it's hilarious. When we throw out names as speakers, right, we always disagree with each other. We always clash.
Yeah.
And
the battle happened.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens.
Did you bring
It happens.
armors and swords?
No.
We're good. No,
We usually bring pillows,
Soft the way.
pencil too. No, because we're the school. No, but I think that's the beauty of it. It takes a longer time to come to a decision, but at least when we come to a decision, it has been made by 4 people,
Yeah.
4 very different people
Collectively.
And the thing is, we make a Malaysian decision.
Yeah.
We don't
Malaysian decision.
we don't make a Malay, we don't make a Chinese, we don't make an Indian decision. We make a Malaysian decision
Yeah.
because
Indian.
no,
No.
I mean, you got-
Median.
Can.
we make a Malaysian
Right,
decision when we
Malaysian
come.
decision.
That's really
that's
beautiful, isn't
amazing.
it? Yeah.
But that's the reality. I mean, to lead, or to lead together, especially you have 4 co-founders here.
Yep.
It's not easy. I mean, everyone have different ideas, and coming up with that one idea that everyone can agree on.
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of battles.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think we stick to our objectives, which we have planned out and laid out very well. So whenever we make decisions, we ask ourselves: Is it in line
Yeah.
with that? Is it nation building enough?
That's the checkpoint.
Yeah, that's the
Does it-
checkpoint.
Yeah, does it come to the vision, right? Which is
Yeah.
building young leaders. So if it
Yeah.
doesn't, then we don't.
Yeah.
We do get carried away. But I think one of them will say, "Hey guys, you all forget what we came here for. Why will we form in the first place?"
That's our
important.
litmus
Yeah.
paper, lah.
So having like a clear vision and mission,
Yeah.
that's your checkpoint. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
have you guys like geared too far away from what you actually want to do?
Correct.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think I'm proud to say that we have been very focused in terms of building young leaders below 30 years old. And that's why I keep saying below 30 years old. We're very focused. And I think
That's very good. So we'll take a short break. When we come back for our last segment, we'll focus on the leadership opportunities and
Definitely.
where we can get more information about Nation Building School.